as a marketer, interested in measurement and creating more of a data-driven culture, doesn't have a starting point, how would you suggest they start?
The way not to do it, which happens all too often, is let's put together an RFP and we're going to compare, these capabilities and those other capabilities, where the place you really need to start is a couple of steps back from that. And it's basically what question or what area do I have a gap in my understanding about what is working and not working in my marketing, that if I had the answer to that question, I could really improve things dramatically. Once you have really nailed that question, then the issues of what data do I need, what techniques do I need to apply to it, and therefore what partner can best answer that question for me become a lot easier. But I've seen too many cases where companies put out the RFP, they get companies coming in, and then different stakeholders in that decision see different things from the different vendors, and because they haven't agreed on a common core set of questions or set of goals, then it kind of like
doesn't go anywhere.
It doesn't go anywhere. You get tied up in this circle of what are you actually trying to accomplish? And again, back to the lack of patience, and the story there requires more patience to invest some time up front in those kinds of discussions and deliberations. But if you don't do it up front, you're certainly going to have to do it after you pick the vendor and your partner, who's going to say to you, now, what questions do you want to answer here?
True, that's what we always ask.
Yeah.
So start with the question, understand the business case that you're trying to solve for, understand what you would do with the information, with the insight, and then step two.
Step two is another one of these things that, again, on the surface looks like it slows down the process. It's bring together the different stakeholders who this project is going to touch. Obviously, it often is centered in marketing. The analytics team obviously is going to be very involved, but then finance. The really core question that you're always going to try to answer is finance's question of, if I give you X dollars, how many dollars do I get back?
Yes, that definitely is a finance.
So bring in, and that's again where if you bring in the finance team to help frame that question, what is it that if you knew about the effectiveness of marketing would make your job easier and make, those decisions that I come to you, to get, would allow me to answer that, to demonstrate that this would be a good way to invest money in the company. Then beyond that, you're going to bring in, the brand management, product management, business unit specific marketing groups, because they're going to be tasked with bringing in a lot of the data that you will need. And they're ultimately the ones who are going to implement or not what the model says. And this is again where this seems like additional time up front to bring them on board and get their buy-in and their understanding of what you're doing. But again, if you don't do that, when you go out to them and say, hey, we've done this great project and we now know how your marketing works, now go spend your money this way, they're going to be like, wait a minute. It's very rare that a person who has been brought along, while they still may have questions and doubts initially about this new kind of technique, they're at least open to trying it and open to see, let's do some tests based on these findings. And let's see if it works in practice. Okay, it's great in an algorithm somewhere off in the cloud, but let's see if it really works on the ground.
Yeah, I always say that if you think about the analytics or the solution as a tool in your tool set to enable you, to help you, to aid in the decision making, to help you understand the risks and opportunities of the decisions you're looking to make, it becomes a wonderful asset. Right. And it's certainly not making the decisions for you, which I think once you accept that and you leverage it, you can do great things.